Right guys, today we are at a pond on my mate's farm. It's a private fishery, so it doesn't get fished that often. It's just to the left of us here. It is absolutely blowing a gale. They've given us a storm coming in a couple of hours, so I don't really know if we're going to catch anything. Don't know how we're going to get on, but we're going to give it a go. We're just going to be fishing. It's not a big pond, it's about an acre, but we know there's at least two 12-pound, 13-pound carp in here from the summer. So I'm just going to be fishing standard rod with a single white mainline cell pop up on it, pink, not white. And I'm going to be feeding, that's just on a hair that, I'm just going to be feeding maggots, trying to get them feeding, because it's prolific, this water, for dying off in the winter, but we'll give it a try with these and see what happens. But I don't know if you can hear it or see it on the camera, but it's absolutely blowing a gale, so I don't know if we're going to catch anything. We brought my dog Blue with us today. Say hi, Blue. Say hi. Yeah. Anyway, we'll get a rod in the water and see how we get on. Right guys, so we've just set one rod up and I've cast out my second rod and I've broke it. So to add to our troubles, we're only going to be fishing with one rod. And if Ryan takes the camera that way and shows you the top of the pond, the wind has picked up to an absolute gale. As you can see by the ripple on the water, it's a bit windy. It's also absolutely freezing. So I don't know how much luck we're going to have. I don't know if the fish are going to take the bait. As I said before, I'm fishing a single pop-up hook bait, just a mainline cell 14mm pop-up, and feeding with a couple of maggots. I'm using a slightly shorter hook length than I usually would, just because the fish can be quite finicky and shy on here, and I find with a shorter hook length you get that bit more bite detection with it being shorter. As there's not as line to pull tight the mouth, never as long to feel it. One of the problems we do have on here, it is dead silty at the bottom. It's about a foot deep in silt, so I can't use any heavy leads or anything like that, because when I'm casting out it's just sinking and sinking, so I've had to put a really light lead on and cast out, so it sits nice on top of the silt without dragging the pop up and the lead down into the water, into the silt. I know there's crucian carp, minnow, common, there's roach, perch, rudd, usual silvers in this pond, but I don't know if we're going to catch those. As I say, it's really windy, it's really cold. If you look at Blue there, Blue's very optimistic, sitting at the water's edge waiting for a bite. But and we just checked the weather report. We were supposed to be getting a storm at about 11 o'clock tonight, and just checked the weather report now with the wind picking up, and they reckon it's going to hit us within the next hour. So I really don't know how much fishing we're going to get done, because if a storm hits, I'm packing up, I'm going home, because I'm not daft enough to sit out in all sorts of weathers and freeze and die and end up with man flu. So yeah, we'll just leave a line out and see if we catch anything. Just thought we'd quickly show you what pop-ups we're using, just in case anybody's asking. Now these are the mainline fluoro pop-ups. They come in pink and white, and the 14mm, as you can see, and you just get an assortment of colours. You get between 40 and 60 in a box. Now I find they smell actually quite nice, to be honest with you. They aren't cheap. I think £7.25 I paid for these ones, so they're not the cheapest bait in the world, but they're full of fish proteins and things fish will home in on, and things they will just gulp down when they walk past it. I just rig them on a standard hair rig. If it's really bad on the bottom, I'll use a small chod rig to keep it away from any branches and stuff like that. But I find they work quite well just on a normal hair rig, weighted down with a bit of putty or a bit of shot. And yeah, that's basically all I'm using, and then I'm just feeding in with the world-renowned, never going out of fashion maggots. Now, I find the red ones work better in winter than what the white ones do. Well, I say red, there's blue ones and everything, blue maggot there. But I just throw a handful of them in a PVA bag, or if I'm fishing in the margins, I'll just throw them in by hand around me pop-up, and then I'll leave them there, and hopefully the maggots will get the fish feeding with them wriggling and having some life in them. Hopefully it'll bring the fish on the feed, and they'll, like, if you throw pellets and stuff in and just overfeed it, they'll just pick and choose what they want. But if they see a load of maggots moving and wriggling, hopefully, I'm hoping, fingers crossed, it'll get them feeding and get a bit of competition going with them to eat them. And as a result of that, I'm hoping they'll take I'm using a bright pink pop-up today. I like the floral pink one, so I'm hoping pink maggot, pink pop-up, they might just home in on it and take it. Whether they do or not, I don't know if you can hear this wind, but it is absolutely ridiculous. If Ryan just shows you the shelter behind us, it's absolutely billowing in. So I don't know how long we're going to be here today. I really, really don't. But we'll see if we can catch a fish for you before we go home. And yeah, we'll have to just see what happens, because this wind is absolutely horrendous. See you soon. Ridiculous. One of the other things you can use, I find works quite well in the winter, is fake baits. Now, if you look down here, I've got a box of all sorts of bits of fake boilies, sweet corn worm, dog biscuits, fake maggots, fake casters, bloodworm, bit of bread. Now, if you're not using a pop-up boilie, I find if you use a piece of this fake maize or fake corn, however you prefer to refer to it. Now, if you get your boilie, what I'll do for argument's sake, I'll use, if I can ever get one off the box, Lee. Now, I'll just use a fake boilie to show you for now. Now, I don't really use these. I would use a real boilie for it, just for the added attractant to the flavour and stuff. But say that's your boilie on your hair rig there. What you can do is with if it's a sinking boiling, it's not a pop-up. Get a big piece of floating corn and thread it on the hair so it sits sort of a snowman like that. And then what you'll find, when your boilie's sitting on the bottom, instead of just sitting flat, the piece of fake corn will make it rise ever so slightly off the bottom and give it a bit of movement in the water and stuff like that. And that has worked a treat for me in the past on some waters, and then on other waters I've not had a sniff on the fake corn, so I might give that a try in a bit if I don't get nothing on this pop-up now. The rod's been out about an hour and I've not had to take or anything yet. It's still just set up over there, so we'll just have to see how it goes. If not, I might try a piece of this fake corn on a bottom boilie. I've got a couple of pop-ups that I've soaked in glug for about 6 months, so they're no longer pop-ups, they're just like rocket fuel bottom baits now. So if I don't get nothing on the main line, I'll give them a try and see what happens there. I might top it with a piece of fake corn and see if we get anything there. Right, one of the other things I think it's worth noting is this is one of my hook things here. I haven't got a big fancy bag, I've just got a piece of foam that I stick them all into. Now, as you can see, there's some extra long ones here. These are braided hook lengths, these ones, and then I've got some smaller ones here which are I think the fluorocarbon, I can't remember. Now, in the summer I'll use a nice big long one like this because it keeps it well away from the weight, it keeps it well away from your line and stuff. And in the summer, generally when the pike take the bait, they just come along, hoover it up, and then they move on elsewhere to the next pile of bait. So it doesn't really matter how long it is. The minute they hoover up and start moving, it's going to stretch. But in the winter, and like I'm using now, I'm using one of these shorter hook baits, these shorter hook lengths here, purely because with the fish being dead finicky and with them not really being on the feed and not really just going around munching on everything, I find with a shorter line like this, even if he only picks it up ever so slightly, there's a lot less line to stretch and feed back to your reel and your bite alarm and stuff than what there is there. If he picks this up here, see if I can just unhook it. So you can get that one. My fingers are absolutely frozen. If he picks this one up here and it's landed like that, say it's landed like that at the bottom, he's got all that time to pick it up and move it before it reaches the swivel, which will then move it onto the next piece of the line, which will then feed back to your bite line. So there's a lot of play and a lot of movement in it. Whereas if you're fishing with a nice small hook link like this, or rig, whatever you refer to it as, I just call it a hook link. Get it out there. He's got the fish, he or she, when they come along and pick the bait up, they've got a lot less movement with it, just because of how short it is. And generally, when you've got the finicky bites, and when your alarm's just beeping once, that's usually a fish is having you off, or a line bite. Usually a fish is picking it up, dropping it, and it's just triggering your alarm to beep once, or it's a line bite where fish are just knocking into your line. But if you've got the shorter rig on in the winter, I find it just helps you set rate a bit more, because, as I say, it's a lot shorter. There's a lot more. You're in contact with your line a lot more, and it's in contact with your bite alarm a lot more. So the slightest little movement will set your bite alarm off, and then you can go over and check it, and you might get a beep, and then a beep, and then maybe another beep, and that is generally a fish has picked your bait up and is fiddling about with it. So if you ever get anything like that, just pick your rod up and check it and set it, because generally you'll have a fish on the end of it. And yeah, I just prefer the shorter rigs for winter. Save your longer rigs for summer. As I say, they don't really do anything for you, especially on finicky bites in the middle of winter. It's the 7th of December today, and it's absolutely blowing a gale. It's freezing cold. So, and I've got a feeling all the fish are going to be well at the bottom, hiding out the way, not feeding. But I'm going to give it a go anyway. As I say, using a small rig, a small single hook bait pop-up, feeding a couple of maggots. Still not had a bite yet, but we don't know. Might get something soon. Guys, somebody's been kind enough to lend us a float rod. We're not having any luck on the carp rod, but if you look out up the sky, this storm is definitely moving in. So I'm going to fetch my carp line in, and I'm going to have half an hour on the float rod, see if I can't catch anything on the float. Just using a 4-pound hook link to 6-pound main line, standard PA waggler float, and single or double red maggot. I haven't decided yet, which, as you can see there, and shot it down with one little shot there to hold it onto the bottom. I'll have half an hour on that, see if I can't catch anything, but then I'm going to make a move because this storm is about to open up. So yeah, let's see what we catch now. Right guys, just managed to get our hands on a little float rod there, so we've flicked over to the float rod, and single maggot we've had our first fish. He's not a big one, he's a nice little rudd there, nice colours in his fins. So I'm going to get my rod back out, get another single maggot on, see if we can't catch another fish. it's just started to rain. The bites have dried up. We've not had anything else. It's been a hard day. Weather's not been great. If you look up there now, you can see all these horrible clouds coming in. They've just come through on the radio that they've predicted 70-mile-an-hour winds to hit us in the next half an hour. So we're going to head home and get in the warm before we get battered by the storm. So thanks for watching and see you next time.